Today, we talk about... So, welcome back. I believe this is episode 30.
All right.
Another special guest. Introduce yourself, my man.
What's up? I'm Charles Engle. I'm a comic here in New York.
Dope.
Yeah.
All right. So, typically how I like to start this is just giving us like a backdrop of your comedy come-up.
Okay.
So, where you started, how long ago, inspirations, all that kind of stuff.
I started 6 years ago in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, this past year, I lived in Chicago, pretty much a suburb of Chicago, for a few months. I moved with my buddy. And then I came to New York, I think, 6 months ago. So I've been traveling a little bit. And then inspirations, dude, when I first wanted to be... I remember the first joke I ever heard on the radio when I was a kid. I just didn't know what a joke was. And I remember just, like, passing out. I remember the joke. It was, what did the fish say when it hit the brick wall? Damn. And I probably threw up in my mom's room. And I just didn't...
Was it like a popsicle stick joke?
It was. I think it was a popsicle. I'm sure it was like some stupid segment on the radio.
Oh,
like it was
gotcha.
probably like, I'm Flippy and here's my jokes.
Yeah.
But I could not handle it. And then one day, when I was a kid, I knew South Park was on Comedy Central, and I turned on the TV expecting to see Comedy Central, South Park, and Jeff Foxworthy was on, and that was the first comic I ever saw, and I was just like, oh, I'll do that. And then, that was pretty much it. And then now. Influences are just, dude, it's pretty much New York comics. But I mean, my favorites are anywhere from Patrice O'Neill to Rory Scovel. I mean, everything. I just don't really like the puppets and stuff like that. There's a couple people I've worked with. I have my biggest influences right now as far as inspirations. Probably, I don't know if too many, but there's a guy named Preacher Lawson. He's a friend of mine. I got to meet him and work with him a little bit. And I think he's one of the best youngest comics out, and I just think he's taken me a couple. I've been on the road, and he was one of the first guys to take me on the road, show me he's our age, he's super nice, and I think he's one of the funniest people. So to kind of see somebody who is working that hard and also just a good giving person, it kind of I think checks all the boxes of like a comic and a good guy, because you kind of have fears. I think of someone who's like, he's great, but he's a dick, so it's cool to see someone who's at least our age and killing it, and still being like, come with, and you're like, all right.
Dude, yeah, it's been refreshing, because we were talking about this off the air, but yeah, man, I've just been super happy with how welcoming, supportive, interactive, like just running into Jim Norton and Bob Kelly on the street, and I'm just like, hey guys, I'm just a big fan. Like, oh, thanks, man. You know, keep it up with the open mics. Like, oh,
yeah, everybody's super nice.
You know?
Nobody's really been. I've had one person be an asshole to me, but it was just at an open mic, and that's to be expected. You know,
open mic jadedness.
People are sad at open mics.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, and how long have you been doing it?
So I started in November. So I'm like, you're 6 years in, I'm 6 months in.
But you're 6 months in New York.
That's
for sure, a different.
Yeah, very different beast. It is kind of refreshing going back to Iowa where I work, because like the 3 open mics there's the third one's like a New York open mic, but the 2 open mics a week out there. Yeah, there's much less stage time, but like there's real people in the crowd. Yes. It almost feels like you're booked on a show. You're just like, you know. Yeah,
you get a little bit, dude. There was one when so recently, I'm a little bit awkward in real life as far as I've just gotten to the part where I'm more assertive as far as like, you should book me. Here's my resume. Here's my tape. But before, I'd be a little anxious. And then you like, oh, maybe I'll stick to open mics until somebody offers me a show. But I mean, being here for 6 months and thinking about doing open mics for, I try to go out 5 days a week, 6 days a week. That'll put you in a headspace where you're like, what is wrong with me? Like, people are in good spirits, but not really. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what else I've noticed is now going to more shows, because like there's only so many open mics shows I can tolerate. But now going to more shows just to be put in that, like you said, that bad headspace, put myself in a good headspace, so to speak, of like, okay, this is like crafted, structured, people I actually want to see, if not some surprises, inspiring me to do new jokes all of a sudden. Like I came up with the show we met up at last night, I came up with like 2 jokes.
Yeah, so you're writing in the old notebook, this spark went off, I was jealous, I was like, fuck. What is that joke? I tried to like look. Maybe I can have a segment off of that. Maybe a tag. Yeah,
well,
dude.
it was more personal to my upbringing, so I don't know if it'll be related to.
We grew up together.
Hey,
yeah, I remember.
No, it was actually. I'll just tell you. It's so I mentioned on the podcast before. but I never thought, and we were talking about this too, how like certain topics you talk about just willy nilly will all of a sudden become bits.
Yes.
And I talked about this on the podcast, and then last night sitting through one of the comics talking about her upbringing, I was like, oh shit, I should just work that into a bit. And I just thought of another example. And what I wrote down was, or what I said a few podcasts back was how like what motivated me to like quote succeed in life and like actually pursue something that pays well, because I didn't grow up with a ton of money, and I just remember thinking like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do something about this. And one of the things that drove me, among many other things, was like the stench of like a garage sale and the things in it. Like, you know how the clothes from a garage sale have a certain smell?
It's like, worse than Goodwill.
Yeah.
You're like, I guess the only good thing about Goodwill is it's a garage sale that's closed in.
AC, yeah.
Yeah.
But that, and then I was like, oh shit, I should actually turn that into a bit. And then the example I thought of to write down as well was during her set was the other thing that really drove me was, I remember rebates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Did you ever do them? I did a couple of them. Yeah.
So I remember my dad segmenting out an evening. See, I love that you laughed already. And
calling in?
No, not even calling in, but like a segment of family time after
Yeah.
dinner was to sit on the fucking floor and just cut up these fucking rebate coupons, stick them into envelopes with the appropriate receipts, matching up receipts, and like literally for hours, once every few months or so, it felt like we were doing this. And I was just like, I don't want to do this. We're saving like $5.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
You're doing filing work.
Yeah.
Like as a kid.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, I don't know if have you ever been in that position where you go to an office and they're like, you're in the files all day, and you're like, where is there a knife back there? Because I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, so that's what I was writing down. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Rebate. So let me ask you: were you a family that kept the free AOL CDs in the mail?
We kept them, but we never used them.
Yeah. See, that's what always. For me, it was if I got them, it was throw them. But if my mom got them, it was like, I got something for you, and I was like, Mom, you did not. This was in the mail. I'm seeing right through the gift that you're giving.
No, my dad would like, for lack of a better term, hoard everything. So like, there's literally a room in my basement back home that's just suitcases that have never been used. Like, and they're just all bad suitcases. They just sit there, and I'm like, Dad, what the fuck are you doing?
What is his answer?
I've never even like fully asked them, like person to person.
Why are you afraid?
Yeah, probably. Like, what reason do I have to challenge his?
What are you keeping in those secrets, Dad?
I mean, there's nothing in there. I've looked at them, but now it's just the suitcases and all my shoe boxes. That's like, well, that's in there.
So maybe his suitcase thing is your shoe thing.
Hey,
maybe you're your dad, but this is better taste.
Yeah, right. And,
maybe he has a YouTube channel with suitcases. Pick out your favorite suitcases.
Yeah, right. He's actually been on my sneaker segment where he picks the top 6 ugly 6, and people love my dad.
That's awesome.
He's a character.
What is he?
He's like me, but older.
Okay,
and more, even cornier than me.
Oh, I have a very cheesy dad.
Yeah.
My dad is the go to a restaurant and make jokes to the server the whole time, and it's just the same. It's like you see a comedian, maybe you saw him 10 years ago, and then you see him 10 years later, and it's like the same act.
Yep. My dad always has the same joke he loves to take, and maybe someday if this comedy thing goes somewhere, I'd love to feature him and have him tell his joke. That'd be great. But yeah, he's cheesy, but like in the fun dad way. Like everyone loves my dad.
Yeah.
Like my dad is the shit. You know. He's definitely not a dad I'm embarrassed of, which that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, those fucking rebates, man.
Dude, that's so funny.
It drove me to succeed.
Yeah, that's what drove you to succeed, the rebates. So let me ask you, I don't know if you get to, this doesn't need to be a serious question at all, but I always wonder from people, or if you get this question a lot, people that are in higher up jobs, you're a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Do you find the process of, since you went through intensive schooling, right, you had no choice. Comedy is something that crafting you can't give up, or like, maybe I'll take a break, maybe I'll look at porn. Do you find that with that, I mean, you're on the computer.
There's always time for porn.
Yeah, there's always time. Even if you're on a plane, you got Wi-Fi. You ask for a little blanket. But did that intensive schooling, do you feel that muscle drive you more with writing?
Not writing, because I fucking can't stand writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the comedic process
for
sure. And I've started to notice it because being a doctor, especially, and let alone my brain with whatever I've done ever, YouTube, anything I pick up that I'm trying to do, I've noticed by the 1100th time of doing that thing, I'm already finding shortcuts. I'm already like crafting like a better way to do it, becoming
Yeah.
more efficient at it, whatever I've ever done in my life. So school the same way, learning more efficiently how to study, do better at tests
Yeah.
or whatever. And even as a doctor specifically, it's all pattern recognition. Like someone comes in complaining of A, B, C, I already know how to get to X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So I'm started to notice that with comedy, especially the more I do it, where I'm like, oh shit, I'm recognizing this pattern.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this too, like, oh, I've started to, kind of piece this together. And I'm
You see the
working
you see the
and-
music behind.
Yeah. So like, so you got to read the room. You got to, come up with some fallback lines if this line doesn't do well. You got to. I'm noticing that part of what's funny is just addressing something.
Yes.
Like not even making it funny, just addressing it. And everyone laughs.
Yes, the weird elements of what funny is doesn't necessarily have to be like, you look like a duck with a mustache. It could just be like a joke bombs and you go, like maybe break the awkward silence with the sniff or just go like, okay. Like, kind of getting, there's so many different elements. And kind of, then you see the pros do it and you're like, oh, he's just wearing a tool belt and whipping out those tools.
Yeah. And, we were talking about Mark Norman. Comedy.
See, but he's a different, my opinion of Mark is he's so well written, but he doesn't even make eye contact.
Yeah.
Like but he does address awkward situations and stuff.
But he's talked about this on, I don't know if you listened to that Let's Talk About Sets podcast.
Yeah, I have listened to the Norman one.
Yeah, and all these other comics that break it down, and even the hosts of it, they're treating it almost like I treat it as a doctor, like a diagnostician, like kind of dissecting and looking at the anatomy of something.
Yes.
Right? And with Mark, it's like he's done this so many times.
Yeah.
He's literally just an autopilot. He's not even thinking up there. He's just up there doing the thing. And I've started to appreciate that a little bit more. And this is what I was alluding to earlier with going to more shows and going to less open mics, is when I'm seeing these same comics that I actually really like over and over, let alone if I've seen them on YouTube or Netflix or whatever. And I'm like, oh, dude, I've listened to this joke 4 times now. But it's still crushing. And I'm just noticing the little intricacies of it. And then all of a sudden that gives me more confidence to be like, dude, I think I can fucking do this.
Yeah, that's special. That's such a great thing about New York is you can see, you mean like working it out. And then you also see, I struggled with something. You talked about something yesterday that I don't necessarily have advice for, but I thought it was very cool because when I started in Arizona, I didn't do comedy class or whatever. I don't have anything against people who do that at all because it doesn't matter. A lot of people hate like, oh, you went to a class. Like I have friends that have filmed specials and they started it, but I did the same thing with yours. Like every week I made a new 5 minutes or something, and I was always like, why? And then you get to see these comics stick with their jokes for a year straight, 6 months straight, and you're like, okay, that's why it's a great joke. They're not budging from something they really want to make funny.
Right.
Yeah, so that yesterday you told me that you like to have new material, and then but what a recent show you stuck with the hits and tried to improve them. And I think both of those strategies are good, but recognizing that took me a long time. Yeah. Because when I was newer, I was like, oh no, this guy's gonna see me at another mic. I gotta change it up, and it's like, no,
he's not listening anyway.
Yeah, he's not listening. And even if
or he already left.
Yeah. And even best case scenario, would that fellow comic ever buy a ticket to see you?
Right.
No.
Yeah. No, I've definitely realized that, and what I'm really proud of, not to toot my own horn, but I'm really proud of how quickly I am picking the shit up. Like
I would imagine that's what sorry to cut you off, but that's what I see with people that are in higher. You went through something so much harder. That's what I think.
That's the argument. I would argue it's not that this isn't harder. It's harder differently. So I think I'm just lucky in my skill set. I don't think every doctor could do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Being funny or not. I'm just saying like there's something I've learned about just humanity specifically or generally where I'm just like, okay, this is a puzzle. I just have to find the pieces, and the pieces here are different than medicine, but they're still pieces. Go find the fucking pieces. I say Rubik's Cube. Okay. As far as whether it's a joke or something, it's like if I think of it as a Rubik's Cube, something in my head is like, it's not impossible, but it's going to take me a while. Yeah. And I'm not, what is it, The Pursuit of Happiness? I'm not Will Smith in the taxi cab. I'll figure it out. Right. Yeah, man. Jokes. Good night. I'm Kevin Hart. Yeah. No, it's just it's a beautiful thing, and I was just one of those guys, man. I never thought I'd be funny. I was not the class clown. I was not anyone ever look to for jokes.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest problem is I find almost everything funny, or at least find the funny in everything.
Yeah.
Which is great for me personally, but it also sucks when I turn it around because now I'm trying to make other people laugh, and that threshold is higher than my threshold in general. So that's
the weird thing. Like, this is funny to me, right? And you're like, oh, this is not funny to you. Or you have to. I guess that's why they said the setup is the most important, because it's like you need to build that foundation. So what drew you to it then?
So I was always into it. You were talking about how like you heard that fish joke and drew you. The thing that got me was a Dane Cook joke about the pickles.
Oh yeah, the BK Lounge.
The pickles. And on the third, I was on the floor, couldn't breathe, right? And I just thought this was like a blessing bestowed upon just a select few human beings who are just able to do this.
Yeah.
Right? I had no idea about the method behind the madness and all that, and the Mark Norman's just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
boom,
he's
boom.
just a hard worker.
Yeah. You don't see that. So especially as a kid, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So I just didn't really think about it. I was like, oh yeah, it's just not for me.
Yeah.
And then same thing with YouTube. I never pictured myself doing it. And next thing you know, I'm like, dude, I can fucking do this.
Yeah, when you see other people upload, you're like, all they did was press play.
Yeah. So I think that helped. The YouTube's been a tremendous help. Just learning who I am as a person. And just
you mean like being able to see yourself?
Yeah.
Does that help you, or what? How is there another way you see?
Well, just because like constantly growing up, I was just shitted on. So whether it was my family,
why is that?
Not literally, but that's why I went into GI. Yeah. I just always shitted on, man, because again. My threshold for what was funny was low, so I'm laughing at things. People are looking at me like, "What the fuck is wrong with this?"
What do you
kid?
mean? Like you're laughing at like just
the dumbest
you're just
things,
a quirky kid, right?
It's got a little bit of coffee left in it. It's hilarious. Like just things that aren't funny to most, if not everybody.
As
and
a
I'm
kid, they're like,
funny. And like, what is wrong with this kid?
Yeah, this kid's laughing at everything.
I remember running into the bathroom in the first grade, and I saw a kid under the stall. And I started losing my shit, just like yelling. And the teacher came and grabbed me by my ear and just like yanked me back into the seat. And granted, what the fuck was I doing?
The kid was laying down?
No, he was in the stall, but I was just, I was so sheltered as a kid, and I'm like, I think this was like the first stall I'd ever seen, so I'm like freaking out in there.
Were you laughing?
Yeah, I was laughing, just like shrieking, and then it became a vicious cycle because I'm shrieking, and then now I'm in a bathroom.
The kid probably is like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
He was probably letting out his shit, and then it like...
And add to all that, I'm in a bathroom where the echo is like super dope sounding as a 6-year-old. So now I'm just like shrieking even more and more, getting louder and louder. And then eventually this teacher comes in, grabs me, yanks me back into the chair. And then at home, I'm a child of immigrants, and my parents are like, do it.
So they're like, but it's okay. So they're tough on you, but your dad's quirky.
Yeah, and that's coming out nowadays. But like as a kid, it's like get your grades, do well in school, no funny business.
Okay.
The arts weren't like something respected. Like they're immigrants. They don't
they're just like, you better hurry up.
Yeah.
I got it. My whole family's from Italy.
Oh, okay.
Cut the bullshit. I lived with my grandma when I moved here, and she's on my Instagram now. She kicked me out. That's how tough. She kicked out her own grandson. Let me move here and say, get the fuck out of here. I was like, all right, I'll go to Queens.
Yeah, right. No, it's I can't speak for your family's values of the creative field, but yeah, it was just not even a discussion. It was like, what?
Yeah.
So it didn't even enter my head.
Okay.
And I bring up things that happen in school or interesting things like, yo, isn't this cool? They're like, shut the fuck up and get back to your
family.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would go home like
excited about something. I saw a kid in
the stall today, and they were like, study.
Maybe not even that, but that's an extreme example. But like just something simple, like, yo, I saw this cool TV show. Okay. I saw this cool thing happen. This kid was wearing something cool. And like they're just like, what? Get the fuck back to your studies. Like, what are you doing? So like I'm getting no positive reinforcement there. I'm not getting any positive reinforcement in any of my quirkiness, right? And as we know, growing up, it's like the quirky people suddenly become the interesting people, right? Because they're suddenly different from all the other generic bullshit drones living in this world. But no one's really reinforcing that to me. So and then my friend group, I'm always the one getting shitted on, partially on my own, or if not mostly on my own doing, just because like I know I can take a joke. So
I kind of enjoyed it.
I enjoy it just because, like, my threshold for funny is low. So, like, even if it's self-deprecating, not even self-deprecating, inflicted self-deprecation. I'm with it because if it's funny, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
And,
wow, that's a pretty good. I mean, I have not heard of a kid who went with it like that.
Oh, I went with it hard.
That's when I started cutting.
Yeah, no. See, that never happened to me. I never, because yes, I got bullied, but it never got to a point where I'd go home and be, it was never like that.
That wasn't part of it.
But it was definitely, I mean, it definitely obviously built up because eventually I just came to the fact that like, I'm not shit. Like that was just my baseline. I'm not shit.
And you were, but there was that was a neutral zone.
Yeah,
like,
it was
I'm not
just
shit, he's not shit, I'm just the one.
No, not even. I was just like, everyone else is cooler than me. Everyone else
wow.
is interesting and I'm just not shit. And that's just my life. And that's just,
and
that's
that
just
was
what
just
I accept.
Baseline.
Yeah, that's just what I accept.
So did that make you, was that like, whatever, or was that like, I better study? Like, did
No,
that
not even.
Okay,
well, it fueled me just in terms of like, this is all I got. You know, this is what I'm good at, so I'm just going to be good at it.
Great mindset. That is, see, I bet this is where I'm the reverse. Well, I think how old are you?
31.
31. Okay, I'm 26. I'm kind of getting to the point where some days, like I came here, I was working, and then I started doing, and I don't mean to segue off, but I started doing some dog walking where I was like, all right, I'll book some stuff on the road. I don't have to request time off, and then I'll make my own money, work a couple days a week, all day, and then go on the road. And then like the first few days of being my own boss, if I didn't wake up at 6 a.m. like I wanted, I was like, just take the day off. You're a hard worker. And then I had that realization like, oh, maybe I'm not the lion I think I am. I'm having those like self-realizations now.
Well, now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you had them as a kid. Like, oh, whatever, I'm just
I
this.
See. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I always maintained my quirkiness, but it was more like I can't reveal this to anybody because no one's about it. And what I'm realizing now with the YouTube, bring it back to the whole YouTube and then extending into now having the confidence to do stand-up, let alone just like talk to people. Yeah. Like I never did small talk. I never like talked to people. And with the YouTube thing, as it started to build, first of all, my parents didn't give a shit about it.
Yeah.
They didn't care that I was doing it. My friends didn't give a shit about it. Because again, I went the math science route.
Yeah.
So all my friends are from a tech school or doctors or just general cynical fucks.
Yeah.
So they don't give a shit about nothing creative, so to speak. And I'm definitely hyperbole.
Yes, I know they're not total pieces of shit.
Yeah, not like that. But
they have their interests and they're different.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They're just different than mine.
Yeah, I hate them already.
So, and then add on to that anything I'm doing or anything I find interesting, they're just like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Stop wasting our time. And to me, they're all funnier than me. Like that's just where I'm at with it. Now, then I start doing the YouTube thing, starts to gain some traction, and then I'm getting more comfortable. And as I'm getting more comfortable, I'm bringing more of my quirks and my corniness to it. And more people are attracted to it. Like, holy shit, man, you're just like me or whatever. And I'm just realizing, like, did I just get a shit roll of the dice where I just happened to go to a high school where I didn't meet a single person who was into what I was into? I happened to have a family who just was like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah. And then having a friend group where my closest friends are just like not into what I'm into. Like I'm looking at these YouTubers and other comedians that are like bantering off each other, alley-ooping, different creative ideas off each other, like, sitting down to like do creative things together and having fun doing the process. I had a friend, the closest friend I got to like even partially giving a shit about some of these videos and ideas I was doing. So, oh, dude, I have this idea. We should do like a restaurant review. It would be funny. Because like all my friends, they're hilarious off camera, but as soon as that red button spreads, like, hey,
freak
get that
out
thing away from
me.
Or they just shut
down. Can we do that again?
No, not even. They're like, huh? All right, no, we're not doing it again. Like that's all right. Yeah, it's awful. So, so the closest a friend of mine got to like mildly giving a shit, it's like, oh, dude, we should do this restaurant thing because he's super funny off camera.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. If you're about it, let's do it. And so already my mind, because I've been doing this YouTube thing for a while, my mind goes into pre-production, post-production mode. Yeah. Like, how many cameras are we going to bring? We need a microphone. What's the setup? Which restaurant are we going to use? They got to be cool with us doing this. What kind of foot
you're
traffic?
already thinking.
I'm already thinking all these things. And I'm starting to talk to him about it. Mid-first sentence, he goes, whoa. Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not fun.
Yeah, classic. I mean, I've been there myself too, where it's better easier said than done.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I say all that to say, as I eventually reached a breaking point where I was like filming a video and I'm just like, guys, this is rough. This is rough, man. Like, what am I doing here? And especially those early miserable days where no one's watching.
Sorry to cut you off, but what were your early miserable? Were they just blogs of
No. I was doing like history of brands, sneakers, shoes, different clothing lines. Like I really explored like the depths of, like I said, I collect for historic purpose. So like anything that has any kind of story to the inspiration of its design or the design language of the shoe or different elements of the shoe that came from certain things or certain shoe was worn by a certain person doing a significant feat. that's what I go into in the videos. Like, hey, this is why I got this shoe.
Nice.
And people really enjoy that content, just from an educational standpoint.
Yeah.
So
you're in those. You're having you have a break in vulnerability. One of the videos.
It's not even a break in vulnerability. Yeah. So I think I know what you're saying. Where I was just like, guys, this sucks. Like, people are watching, but it's for the amount of work I'm putting into this. Like, I'm in a miserable state right now. It's just like a dark era, and just a couple inspirational just comment backs like, hey man, I never comment, but dude, you're fucking
nice.
You know, like, and then those comments started to come more and more, and then I had a couple more breakthroughs where I was just like, because I would psych myself out, because like, look, I've got all this fancy tripod equipment, DSLRs, boom mics, and at home I had like a 3-camera setup, and I was editing it all myself, and I color correcting. I'm just like.
And that's a process you can get lost in.
Yeah, and I was burnt out to the point where I was starting to get furious with myself for coming up with a new idea, but then, hey, no one's going to help you make this, and B, it's going to be a bitch just to set up your studio in your basement.
You're already defeating yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just more and more painful. Finally, I'm just like, man, I just got to go raw. And I just started using my iPhone. Literally, that's all I use now.
I know I saw this, and I was like, no offense, with I saw this and that, and then with the where we are, I was like, I saw this, and because I watched so many podcasts and stuff like that, and I saw the phone, I was like, no, the phone is better, or at least like easier, because it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and
it's easier for me to transfer it over, and then I plug it into Final Cut, transfer in this file, boom, done. And it's not perfect studio sound or whatever, but it's passable.
Yeah, it's just like, I know people who do. I'm not the biggest, because I did the same thing. My podcast that I do is now long distance, and for a long time we were trying to figure all this shit out, blah blah blah. And I finally bought a Zoom, which is just a handheld recorder, and it just everything. And I was like, we were gonna go, oh, let's sign up with this agency, and they'll send our sound bites to this editor. And I was like, dude. I mean, it was mostly my buddy. My buddy was like, dude, screw that. Just go buy the recorder and then just do it the easier way. You know?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's about just getting the content out there. It may not be perfect. It may not be exactly what you want, but I mean, I bust out way more content, way more efficiently. My audience is growing way quicker now. People are more gravitated to the rawness of me. Like, that's kind of my brand now. Because, exactly. They're like, dude, you're like the only real person I see on YouTube. That's refreshing.
I think that helps with. I've noticed the same thing on a very micro scale with even Instagram stories. Yeah. Where it's just like if someone like I almost got jumped the other day, or someone like blah blah blah, whatever happens, I'll just immediately go like this, and then with that 15-second window, you can kind of see how you actually are, and then you can maybe add a punch to it really quick, and then even when I think it's stupid, I'll be like, oh, that's dumb, I'm not gonna watch it again. But people will DM me like, hey, that's funny, or hey, I think that same way, and you're like, all right, cool. Instead of just scripting it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Real
and
people.
It's way less work.
Yeah.
You're being yourself. And so as that continued to happen, all of a sudden, anytime I go out to dinner and I'm by myself, I'll chat it up with the waiter or the bartender or whatever, and all of a sudden we're vibing, and they're offering me free like snacks and stuff. I'm like, holy shit, just being myself. You know, all of a sudden I can be myself.
I was coming from being an awkward person. I was never like super awkward. Like, I had friends and all that growing up. I was kind of the guy in the middle, right? I had friends with whoever. I didn't judge anybody, but still, I think moving to different cities by myself, what I found to do is just, even if I was feeling nervous, say I go up to a legendary comic, I'd be like, hey man, sorry, I'm pretty nervous, but I just want to meet you. As long as I say it, then I'm okay. Yeah. If I just admit like, hey, pretty nervous to meet you, but I just want to say love your stuff, high five. That was weird, but anyway, like, great. And they're just like, hey, let's talk more. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's something that I think, moving to New York, not knowing anybody, before last week I had one of those down in the dumps, like, oh man, I don't know any comics yet, I don't know anybody. And then yesterday at the show, when I saw you, I was like, dude, I'm just gonna say what's up, and then here we are.
There you go.
A little positive push, Brody Stevens.
You got it. No, I've noticed the same thing, man, and I think it's a comic thing, and maybe this is why they're so like friendly and welcoming and open, is because I think we just get it. Yeah. Like, we just understand, like, if something comes off inauthentic, then it's very sniffable. Like, it's very, like, who the fuck is this phony? You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, that's like the worst thing to a comic, too. Yeah. Like, don't be a hack or fake to me, please. If you're truly an asshole, I'll probably like that about you.
I've actually preferred hanging out with assholes.
Yeah,
just
they're funnier.
Like, they're cooler.
Yeah, and they're just like Tim Dillon, I don't think he would mind, but I went up to him and I was like, hey dude, I'd just like to book you on my show. And he was like, I'd love to do your show. And I was like, I DM'd you, I don't know if you saw it. And he's like, no, I'm a dick. But he's like, I probably saw it, I didn't respond, but like, I'm nice in real life. I'm probably just being a dick on there. I'd love to do it. And I was like, I didn't think like, oh, you are a dick. I was like, that's cool that you said that.
Yeah, I love that you're open about being a dick. Yeah. No, I'm totally on board with that, man. Because like I have the same thing where it's like if I'm nervous, I'd rather just say it, get it out in the open, so everyone knows. And then as long as you know that I know and that I know that you know, then we're good. Like,
it kind of takes away that like, like I need to be, hello, I am a comedian, and I'm just like, hey, I'm a guy who likes talking about my dick on stage, and so are you, and we can be weird together. Yeah.
I've and I think part of that for me too is just realizing like you're just not going to be likable to some people, and be okay with that. Like as long as you're yourself, if people aren't into it, just accept that, because what was the alternative? Like faking them into liking you, and then what are you doing?
That's something I'm constantly trying to remind myself of. Is like I think when it goes, because right now this is I don't know, it's too stupid to get into joke talk, but I have a joke right now about me keeping all the nudes from past relationships.
Hey, by the way, you just did it. This is stupid, but let's talk about it.
I know. There we go. Just admit it and then do it. Cancel out the asshole. And you can see people being like, well, I guess it's the most. I'm having a lot of people look at me like, you son of a bitch, and I'm like, well, it is who I am.
Right.
And that's if you do comedy and then you become a version of yourself that is inauthentic, then it's just a job.
Yep. And then you gotta live with that forever. Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do? And then you disappoint people, and then, haha.
Yeah, then
fucked up.
I mean, Larry the Cable Guy makes a lot of money. I mean, a lot. Maybe I'd rather be him.
See, I don't know, man, because I look at people like that, and I've heard of such A-listers that I've heard some insider information about them, and then I hear about like how miserable they are. I'm like, that doesn't sound worth it at all.
Exactly. You can be rich and sad. It doesn't matter. If you're laying on the floor in a mansion or in a garage, what's the difference? The view. You're still sad.
Yeah, I've had lonely nights up here, man. Like it's nice, but I've had miserable days up here where I'm like, where's my life headed?
Oh my god, those days are just fun.
And don't get me wrong, it's nice to have the PlayStation ready to go for those moments.
Yeah, of course.
And a nice TV with this beautiful view, it definitely helps. But much less suicidal thoughts than most. But yeah, man, it definitely hits everybody. And then when I hear these stories of like, oh man, they had to have a drink just to get out of bed to be able to do an event or a thing, and I'm just like, oof,
that's like, you know what I found out about? I don't know if you realized, who's the guy who did the Avicii? I did not. Do you know who Avicii is?
Yeah.
I did not. Do you know how he was super depressed?
Apparently,
I just learned that last week. I didn't know he killed himself. I guess he killed himself with a broken bottle.
Oh, is that the story?
Broken wine bottle. Yeesh. And I guess he was so. This is me just Googling him. He hated the limelight, and he had to be hammered just to be out in public. And he hated being that level of famous.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not for everybody.
Yeah, I would have suggested a mask. Maybe dead mouse it up a bit, please.
Yeah, right. Actually, well, there's definitely some validity to that, because, if you're not about the on-camera things, then you gotta take that into account. So, to give my friends a little more credit than me shitting on them constantly. Like, I think that's just who they are. Like, they're funny.
Yeah.
They're hilarious in the group chat, but they're not meant for stand-up, and they're definitely not meant for in front of the camera. Like, that's just not their world. That's just not everyone's world. Like,
Yeah, fuck your friends. No, I'm kidding. No, I do. Some days you have thoughts, where you're like, is this what I want to do? Yeah, those up and down. I don't know. Everybody goes through it, especially in a bigger city. It's lonelier, but I think it's more accessible. Just if you're people kind of have that bus stop mentality here. Like, don't make eye contact. We're all going to the same place. Like, I didn't smell your fart. But people are friendlier. I think that whole stigma of people in New York are rude, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, it's contextual, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just what I start to realize is I think it's just a thing of just like pure necessity. Like, if I'm in a small town, if I see you walk into the door, I'll hold the door for you, and I'll ask you how you're doing, because I only have to ask maybe 10 other people that today.
Yeah.
But in New York, I can't fucking ask everyone how they're doing. I just can't do that.
Yeah.
I won't make it to work on time. Like, it's just one of those things,
Yeah. Too many giant jar of jelly beans, dude.
Yeah.
is insane, especially right now. Everybody jam-packed into the subway. That's one thing I've gotten better at is just like getting into the subway. It was
you gotta force the issue.
Just elbowing it out.
It's like me just shooting for Tim Dillon, like, hey man.
Yeah, that is cool. It does feel cool to be a little more aggressive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, this also came from being bullied as a kid, where I just started going for shit. I was just like, okay, I guess no one's gonna wait for me. No one's gonna not cut me in line. I'm just, if this is the attitude to like just take and move, I'm going to just start doing this. So anytime I want something, I go for it. I mean, I was in middle school.
And did that spark? I'm always interested. Okay, so I'm not super educated. I just like doing comedy. I want to be a headliner, right? I don't want to do, a bunch of, but I'm interested in when the spark happened for people. You've done the doctor, you're doing comedy, you do the YouTube. Was there one moment where you're like, I got it?
In terms of
like,
this is
what I want, I'm going to get. Not necessarily like, I want to be a doctor and that's it, but was there a click where you're like, I see something and there's no question in my mind that it will be a reality versus, that's my roommate, right? He's like, I will be this. Me, I'll be like, I want to be a headliner. And I don't say I will be. I'm like, I want to. That would be nice if I work hard enough. And then
sorry.
Yeah, the joke weird. Okay, I'll take it out. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I guess I'm being more, that's material where it's like, I used to be like, it needs to be clean in case I get a Conan.
Yeah,
and now I'm just like, dude.
Fuck Conan.
Yeah, let's stop talking about sandwiches, And then did you have any moment or like part of your brain where you're like, there's no doubt?
No, I don't even think I've hit that yet. I think in my head it's just do more. So like I did the doctor thing, like from the minute I opened up a book that said, these are salaried jobs. Like I had no idea that comedy was even like a job. I didn't know that like in business there's like an unlimited ceiling. I just thought salaries were it. So I was like, what's the highest paid salary thing? Oh, doctor, I could be good at that. I'm good at math and science. Let me look at some of the other opportunities. I'm not really feeling dental school, nursing, this, that. Let's do doctor. And then I set my mind to it and I accomplished it. And then I got done and I'm like, all right, what's next?
Wow, yeah.
So now it's comedy. And
that's next? Always been the brain.
I guess. Because I mean, the doctor thing was literally it forever. Because again, I was just thinking like, all right, I guess this is all I got because I'm nothing. And then
I'll just be a doctor and then I'll go home and play with my shoes.
And then I got into shoes, and I'm like, holy shit, I know way more about shoes than almost anybody I have ever heard of.
Yeah, that shoe was, I can see why you have a big audience with that. I mean, it was like, it was crazy, the knowledge on the spot.
Yeah, dude, it's like, it's all in my head. And I'm just now realizing, and I was talking about this yesterday too, it's like, I'm realizing I could literally sit at this table and talk for hours with nobody here.
Yeah.
And apparently that's a skill.
That is a skill.
Apparently. In my head, it's not. That's what I'm telling you. Like, no one ever thought to tell me, like, dude, you're good. Like, I'm starting to now realize, like, where my strengths are.
Yeah.
So I'm really pushing at them. Yeah, there was no one along the way to be like, hey, dude, you may be good at this. You may want to think about this. Actually, a lot of people, even in the hospital, like, whoa, you're a Hollywood doctor. You should be in Hollywood. You should be in
Oh, so they were kind of like, you're funny. Like they
Not even funny, but just like my look apparently looked like very Hollywood. Whatever you take that.
They were saying you're handsome or something?
I guess. Well, some handsome. This was before the mustache and the crazy. But even with this stuff, I'm getting called handsome by comics. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on here?
Nice,
Where the fuck were you guys in high school?
Yeah,
where I was getting picked on. And no girls would talk to me.
Yeah, you
I wouldn't talk to them.
In high school.
But yeah, I'm just coming into my own, man. I'm just owning the mustache, owning my outfits, owning who I am. And if people don't like it, then it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, that's like, the best.
And yeah, man, I'm just pushing to my strengths, and I'm just like basically just keeping busy till I die. Like that's keeping myself distracted, but right before I eventually die. Like
Do you have days of procrastination?
All the time.
Okay, I was gonna say that makes me feel better.
That's I'm definitely giving that energy of like, oh yeah, I do podcasts from noon to 9 every day. Like, no, those are just like Wednesdays. But yeah, yesterday I was literally playing Red Dead Redemption and FIFA till like right before one open mic.
Okay.
And then I went to that show, and then one show after that, or another open mic after that. So that was my day. Yeah. And I came back and played some more FIFA. So.
How do you, and then, I'm sorry, whatever your formula is, I don't know if I'm asking too many questions or stuff like that.
No, I don't give a shit. This is the beautiful thing about my podcast is it's just organic conversation.
Right,
and then wherever the topics go, I just split them up later, and then I put out the whole thing at the end.
Good,
so one segment will be your comedy come up, one segment will be what inspired us as kids. One segment will be rebate coupons, and another segment will be, motivations.
Fuck your friends.
Yeah,
No,
fuck my friends. Yeah.
So you said, let me ask you this about, and if I get too comedy into this, or if you, whatever time you need to go, please.
Yeah, we're going to try and wrap this up in 5 minutes.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. That's totally good with me. What is your, and you don't need to answer this, but you hate writing right now, right? Meaning what?
I hate just writing. Like, I hate reading. I hate writing. I hated literature growing up. I fucking hated that shit. Way more of an audiovisual guy.
Okay.
So like even with medical school, like I hated reading the text, but I could consume all these videos on YouTube, and I wish I had more access to them or knew about them earlier. I would probably even know even more. But my process is I obviously write, right?
Yeah.
I write jokes, but I'm definitely, my strength is not the Mark Norman / who's another good writer, crafter of
Goldman,
jokes.
Sam Morril, those guys were
I can't sit down and like wordplay amazingly. Right?
Yes.
It's not my strength. My strength is the Dane Cook, Jim Carrey, Sebastian Maniscalco animated type of
being present too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to lean more into that. This helps, obviously, the YouTube stuff because I'm just like goofy to the camera, and it is cringe, but I'm just drawing in my cringe crowd, so that works. And obviously, I'm getting better the more I do it, and the more practice I get, and I'm still like finding my voice / stage presence. So I'm getting a little bit better each time, commanding more of the space. Like instead of being all like this. Like I remember one of my early sets was like continuing to coil the rope and not even realizing I was doing it.
Yeah.
Just little by little getting out of that, and I can't wait for the day where I'm finally just Robin Williams up there, just like, like that's where I'm headed with it. Where I'm not even going to say anything like super crafty, but it's whatever I say.
Is going
Billy
to,
Bong, and it's just
the Dane Harmful if Swallowed is a great example of that, dude. That's good. That's I think the best. I mean, 6 months in. If you're 6 months in, right? Yeah. If you already know that about yourself, you've skipped. I mean, I struggled with a lot of that for a long time, just because I just didn't I tried to be like I need to be Norman or I need to be Dane Cook, and then I try to write that way, and you're just like.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, it's tough, man.
It's
tough. Yeah, that's one thing I've like I said, man, I'm super impressed with how quickly I'm picking this up because it's tough. It's not fucking easy, and I'm nowhere close to where I want to be with it. But it's just like ideas that come in my head, like the rebates thing, just kind of came to me. And what I've noticed actually is the more I do this, because I reached the stage around January, February where I was like, I just want to get up. I'm not going to write, because some people are just like, I'm going to write, and I'm going to come up with these bits, and then I'm going to
they're going to be the best, and
then I'm going to practice them. For me, it's like, no, dude, like any jokes I wrote before or during my first 2-3 sets, compared to what I'm writing now, I am writing with the experience of what it's been like on stage.
Yeah.
And like now when people come out, they're like, oh, you should write a joke about that. I'm like, I already know that's not going to work for the stage. Like I'm already cognizant of that. So that's why I also don't push myself to write, because I just know the more I get up there and the more I just feel myself up there, I'll eventually write for that and come up with things or whatever. So
the little Sinbad too.
Oh, is that what he does?
Sinbad apparently just went up and that's it, and went out for topics and then would just rip it.
Yeah, I'd love to get to that stage at some point. Yeah.
Well, those were the great. I mean, Dane, Tom Segura, Kyle. I don't know if you're a Kinane fan, but like all those guys, they just write on stage. They go with an idea, and then it's fun. I don't like it when it gets to like this whole like. And then my mom said, "What are you working on?" And I said, "Not Dad."
Yeah,
like,
dude. Like every open mic lately.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's take this word and make it for that.
Yeah. That's why I'm getting really tired of these open mics, because I've done this long enough now, and by no means am I saying I'm like all that.
There's no judgment.
Right, but I'm saying I have gotten to that point where I am recognizing with these open mics, I'm like, dude, this is so bad.
It's
like,
absolutely
this is
grueling. And Sam Morril had a good description that I think of every time is Sam Morril, very great comic, even said the New York open mics were laughless dungeons. So someone is, I mean, everybody hates them. Yeah, it's a lot of the same.
Yeah, because it's like you're not funny. You're just trying to put funny things together.
Yes, it's like, all right, I can watch somebody do a backflip over and over and over again, and then the first two I'm like, you can backflip? And then the fifth one I'm like, jeez. Like, have you ever been to a party where someone, like a high school party, and someone's like, where's the guitar? And I'm like, dude, nobody wants to hear you play the White Stripes again. You played before we left. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's annoying because like I want to find you funny,
Yes.
And I think that's what helps these guys that can write on stage is like they're funny. So when they get up there, they can find the funny.
And
like
that pressure too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's going to be a fun journey. I think.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get to 6 years. That'll be.
Yeah, we'll
a good
see.
time.
You know.
But yeah, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're hitting that sweet spot. So
awesome.
Why don't you give the folks another plug of where we can find you?
Cool. You can find me on Instagram. My name is Charles Engle. My Instagram is Charles_Engle, ENGLE. I do a weekly podcast every Wednesday. New episodes of Please Send Nudes podcast. You can search it. It's PSN podcast as well. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and then I am doing a live podcast from Chicago, the Underground Chicago. I think it's going to be mid-June. I'll be at the House of Comedy in Phoenix, Arizona, May 27th through June 3rd, and then I run a weekly show in Manhattan at the Bowery Electric at 8 o'clock. It's called Freestyle Comedy. The Instagram is called Freestyle Comedy Show. We do comedians from Netflix, HBO, and then at the end of it, we do a freestyle rap battle based off of topics given from the audience. And I can rap. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm the best in New York. Nas and then me. Nice. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Dope. All right, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
See you guys.